Hello. So sorry for the wait on this. This is the patron Q&A for my video about cozy anime RPGs.
Hey everyone. I had nothing to do with that video, but I'm here too.
Yeah, I'm here again with my darling little wife.
It's me, Alyssa.
And we're gonna answer all of your questions. I want to get right out ahead and say that I had to kind of condense some of these questions. A lot of people said a lot of really nice, really insightful stuff about the video, but we got like 85 questions or so. So I had to combine a few and just kind of cut out everything that wasn't the question itself so that this wouldn't be like 3 hours of recording.
Yeah, if you just said something nice but didn't ask a question, thank you for sending it.
Yeah, I read all of it and I appreciated it all a lot. Also, I've observed that when comment threads are coming in fast on Patreon, I'll sometimes get like 3 consecutive notifications of a comment, and then I'll go to click on it and it'll just be gone. And I'm not exactly sure what's going on, but that compacted with someone saying that it looks like their comment had been deleted. They thought that they had offended me. I didn't even see the comment.
Oh.
So if you post something and it gets nuked in a comment thread, just feel free to post it again. Anything that I either I feel like I have any insight on or that I'm not qualified to talk about in one of these Q&As, I always leave it in the thread. I just
skip over it.
I just skip over it. So if something is getting deleted, that shouldn't be happening. And if it keeps getting deleted, feel free to message the question to me on Patreon as well. I'm not sure if they have some kind of like flag system up that I'm not able to control, like YouTube lets me control or what.
Yeah, I don't really know how Patreon works.
Yeah. So definitely keep that in mind if you find you're having issues. And if that has been happening on prior videos, you're welcome to ask something on behalf of one of those older videos if you didn't get to in the past because it got deleted.
Yeah.
So with that, let's jump right in.
All right. So I struggled with this name last time, and I'm once again reading it as Arpeggio.
I'm pretty sure Arpeggio is correct.
Arpeggio asks, how many different games text box did you have, and how many of those did you have to make? I thought they were a really fun touch.
So I'm really glad that this is the first question in the thread because I used a website called the Death Generator, which just kind of compiles a whole bunch of like game UIs and fonts into like a big HTML thing where you just type stuff into a box and then it auto generates.
That's super cute.
Yeah. So I used that for all of them. So I wasn't like going in and manually ripping all of those. That would have been a nightmare. But it was still incredibly time consuming.
Yeah, I saw you put in a lot of work on that. It looked really good.
Thank you.
It was very cute.
Thank you.
Serenity Venus asks, hi, last video you mentioned that you watched the first season of The Owl House and needed to get caught up. Have you watched season 2 yet? And if so, what are your thoughts?
I'm so sorry. No, we haven't.
We still need to. I want to.
I want to as well.
We've just been super busy.
Yeah.
But we definitely plan on watching it eventually.
Yeah, I'm waiting for
Ida.
The excuse. I know, me too.
I miss that kooky MILF.
Me
Gilf,
too.
Whatever she is.
Wilf.
Wilf?
Yeah.
What's that short
She's
for?
a witch.
Oh, okay. Adam VM says, I love that you actually talked about Lost Kingdoms too. The music in your other vids activated me like a sleeper agent because I always felt like the only person who played it since it's only ever mentioned as a footnote in a list of pre-Dark Souls FromSoft games.
Yeah.
How did you come across it in the first place?
It was 100%. Thor played a song or two from that game's soundtrack in his FromSoft video, and I went, what the fuck? I need to figure out what this game is. Like, I had been putting games or songs from the game in my videos, not even knowing anything about what the game looks like, just because I knew I liked the soundtrack.
That's a shame it's treated as such a footnote, because it's such a cool looking game.
It's really cool. I really enjoyed it. I also feel... maybe this is a little uncharitable, but I feel like a lot of the reason why people don't talk about it is because it doesn't fit into the narrative that FromSoft has always been hostile, and that every game has just been building up to Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Because truly, like, I feel like no matter which way you cut it, Lost Kingdoms is very accessible.
Mm-hmm. Goji Dragon says, as someone who grew up on free RPG Maker games, I haven't played a lot of the games you talked about, but they sound so nice. Do you have any recommendations out of the games you talked about that are easily accessible, like Steam or suspicious fansub downloads? Also, will you be making more shorter videos again, or are you planning on keeping them longer like this one?
So first question, I 100,000% recommend just using emulators and downloading ROMs for stuff. I fully endorse piracy in that regard. I downloaded every single game that I used in that video, and almost all of them were just on like CD Romance or archive.org.
Obviously, for indie RPG games, you should buy them.
yeah, definitely. But
play Tales from Toppletown. It's free on itch.
Yeah, that game's great. Oh, and then will I be making more shorter videos?
Hazel doesn't make long videos on purpose.
It's true. I thought the Aken video that I just released was going to be like 20 minutes.
Yeah, she's like, this is going to be so fun and easy. It's going to be so quick. I'm just going to make a dumb, fun video.
Making that video was literally like the Mr. Incredible meme where like, he gets more fucked up looking as he goes down.
Yeah. And then Hazel was like, I'm like researching Japanese political.
Yeah, I had to actually search up actual documentation from the Japanese government and brute force translate it back and forth and throw stuff your way for help.
Hazel had me translating some stuff too.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that when we get to the little Q&A for that video.
Oh,
but
yeah.
The thing is, when I was making short videos, it often felt like a compromise because I was of the mindset of like, well, why would I talk about this thing and leave things off the table that could be talked about?
Yeah.
Like, I don't like cutting things because it feels like a waste. I would rather really explore every single avenue for something.
Kind of like taking a bite out of a juicy apple and then leaving the rest of it.
Yeah, exactly. Like you might feel satisfied in the sense that you've got your craving for an apple filled, but why not have a full filling meal as well? I would really like to make more short videos. I just need to find topics that necessitate shorter videos.
Hazel falls down these rabbit holes as much as she takes you guys with her.
Exactly. Yeah. I really truly didn't intend to get sucked down a rabbit hole this time.
Yeah. EJ Smith says, I always wonder where that aw noise you use is from. It gets me every time. Is there a reason you use text-to-speech or double your voice for some words or sentences?
So the first half of that is there's just like that image of the emoji going, oh.
Oh, right.
I use that all the time because I think it's really funny. And it's kind of like a server meme in a server that I'm in. And that sound is like, it's like one of the first things you search that comes up when you search like emoji meme, and it's just like somebody wailing. A friend of mine recently described it as the Brazilian and then I realized that was in fact uploaded by someone who lives in Brazil.
Oh, okay.
And I kind of had that moment of like, oh, I guess that makes sense. But then there's another sound that I use that I stole from Thor, which he got from like a GTA 3 shitpost video or something. But it's like a very iconic sound in my mind. So I just stole it straight from him. He like sent me the audio from it.
That's great.
And then the other one about using text-to-speech. Sometimes I just fucking say a word wrong in my script and don't catch it until I'm editing. And it'll be like the middle of the night and I'll be editing, or like Alyssa will be on a call with her boss. I will be sleeping. and I won't be able to re-record it. So in those instances, I'll just use a text-to-speech robot to correct me. And then when I layer my voice over myself, it's literally just when I catch myself being a hack writer and being repetitive. Like sometimes I'll just accidentally use the same exact sentence structure twice in a row by mistake. There was one instance in that Grandia video, though, where I did it on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was talking about how it... I don't remember exactly what it was, but I say, like, it looks super different and it feels super different, either from, like, other RPGs or something. I don't quite remember. But I wanted to make sure that those 2 points were still, like, deliberately connected to one another. Mm-hmm. So I layered the first one over the second one to like, further connect that in viewers' brains. But that's pretty esoteric.
Yeah. Even I kind of didn't get what the joke was when you first started layering your recordings. I thought it was like a misrecording or something. No,
it's literally just me making fun of myself.
Yeah. No, I figured that out after you'd done it a few times. Men Monk says, do you have any tips for someone trying to get into emulating or finding resources for more obscure titles?
You got me in a yawn. I'm sorry. I really recommend just checking out CD Romance. It's a totally safe site that has a lot of, like, pre-patched ROMs, so it's pretty easy to go. If you're on Mac, I like OpenEmu a lot.
Yeah, OpenEmu is nice.
Yeah, Emulation is at, like, the easiest point it's ever been.
Yeah, just find a Reddit thread about it or something. I'm sure someone's got a compilation of resources out there somewhere.
Yeah, plus whatever I say here is going to get outdated before too long, so...
Yeah, keep on top of it. Emulation sites change now and then as
they get DMCA'd out of existence, and then...
Yeah, so it's best to just research it anytime you're in the ballpark for that kind of thing. It's Riley Me says, thank you for acknowledging the greatness of the Dog Island by the innovators at Uke.
Yep.
Uke. I swear my life by this oddly dark dog game. My sister's gonna see this, so I won't forgive you for what you did. I had very nearly completed that game in that week-long, flu-fueled, half-conscious binge. You dropped our Wii, both annihilating my save data as well as all my mons trapped in the Poke Ranch. I may love and hold you as my closest friend, but I will never forget, and I will forever hold this against you for the remainder of our lives. Also, hi Hazel. What was your favorite thing about the Dog Island's fucked up little story about grief, obligation, and the weight of society's expectations?
My favorite thing about it is that it kept compounding on itself.
Yeah, every time we thought, like, oh, surely this is the craziest thing we've seen, it wasn't.
No, yeah, it just keeps getting worse. I love it.
Yeah, there's just, like, so much emotional weight to everything in a way that you don't expect from the packaging of that game.
Yeah, it's very disarming.
And it makes it, like, almost all the more upsetting. Like...
It feels like we're playing, like, a bad creepypasta version of a game. But, like, in the sense that it's, like... Way. Like, when I say a bad creepypasta, I mean, like, this is what a creepypasta would think a scary subversion of a cute game would be.
Right.
But it feels so wholly genuine that, like, it doesn't feel that way, if that makes sense. Like, I guess what I mean more so is that describing it to someone will make it sound like it's the subject of a bad creepypasta.
But it's totally sincere, and that's what's great about it.
Yeah. Why did they do it that way?
I don't know. Celeste Menigel says, hey Hazel, apologies if this question has been asked before, but are there any tips you'd give to someone intending to make their own amateur video essays? I imagine the process differs vastly from creator to creator, but any tips from experience?
You're always welcome to ask that question because my answer is undoubtedly going to be different every time I get it. I think, like, there are so many parts of the process that have become really specialized specifically to how I know I work. So there are a lot of things where I feel almost a little weird giving as, like, plain and simple advice. I think my number one thing is, like, if you're writing about something that you have a very specific relationship to that kind of runs counter to, like, the kind of general consensus on a piece of media, I think the best thing that you can do is just to not really spend a lot of time on those sorts of, like, I know it's bad, but, or I know this is unintentional, but... when you're talking about why you enjoy something in spite of its flaws.
Yeah, talk about something proactively, not defensively.
Yeah, I think if you just kind of jump right into it, like the people that are going to get weird about the fact that you're being positive about something that people don't like are going to do that no matter how much you sort of preemptively defend it. So you might as well spend more time celebrating something. I also think just like in general, try to do, like when you're starting out, I would say try to do something a little bit different each time you start making a video. If you find that there's a particular element that you get stuck at or aren't enjoying, I think a lot of video essay sort of like ideas have become almost sort of like, what's the word? Like standardized in a way. And I think that it makes sense why, but I think there's still a lot of ground that can be broken in how we convey ideas to one another. And I think a lot of times you can achieve something like that just by viewing the parts of making something that you do or don't enjoy and kind of leading fully into or out of those things. Like you look at someone like Thor. I know I bring him up a lot, but I think he's someone who has really pioneered his own style sheerly by virtue of focusing on the elements of a topic that he cares about and kind of eschewing the things that are sort of expected of a critic in other realms. And I think his videos are leagues above most other critical, quote unquote, channels as a result.
Because they have their own unique tone. It's like, you go to Thor, you get a Thor video. You don't just get a generic review.
And I think that everyone should be striving to do that. Like, I think there's always going to be formal review, formal criticism out there that is sort of inherently more nameless. And I think that, you know, you might as well lean into being as fully yourself as you can.
Good advice, babe.
Thanks.
As someone who's made one video essay, I say just like lay out your groundwork, outlines, organize your files, name your files appropriately so that you don't kick yourself later.
Yeah. When my videos are long, I break up my project file into 10-minute chunks in terms of like my subfolders.
Yeah, we
so
do
that
that
I can
for our animation channel.
Yeah.
Split into 1-minute chunks.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because what I do is I think like, okay, well, I have... that is the animation channel that you work for. I'm not affiliated with it. That was something that you said to me, not to the viewers. I just wanted to clarify that. Yeah, so if I'm looking for a particular file or if I'm trying to reduce clutter, I can go like, okay, well, I know that this section was where this stupid image came from and go from there.
Yep. Jay Wang
I'm pretty sure. Well,
says,
I don't know.
Well, sorry to everyone. Have you ever thought of submitting feature-length video essays to film festivals?
Super 100% not. I don't have very much, if any, interest in the film festival circuit. It seems like it kind of catches your project up in limbo for a really long time. And I think for what I do, it would be almost antithetical. Because I feel like if I made something like that, I would have to adhere to a set of standards for what people expect out of documentary filmmaking. And if I wanted to do that, I think I would have a very different channel.
Yeah. Namo says, seeing as you're a professional TM who sits at a desk a lot to do her work, do you have any advice to do desk work in a productive and healthy way? Whether it's related to health or keeping your focus on the task, I'd love to hear how you personally go through the process.
I can't remember who it was that shared this advice, but I try to exclusively work at my desk now. There was a time where I would rotate between bed, couch, dining room table, and desk. But sitting at my desk has kind of forced me to get into and then subsequently out of the mood to work when the time comes. So that's been really helpful for me because when I sit down, my brain kind of instantly enters like, all right, we gotta fucking go mode. And
I think I've said this before, but I think setting really strict time frames for your desk work is really important too. Like, it's easy to slip when you're at a desk, especially at home, and think like, oh, well, you know, I got a little distracted, so I'm just going to sit here a little longer and work, or set strict boundaries with yourself and your desk, basically.
Yeah, definitely.
Marcy Ferrer says, what's your homemade mac and cheese recipe?
So I'm so sorry to come clean about this, but it's not really anything worth showing because I've just kind of modified a recipe that I found online very slowly over time. So it's become a little bit of like a Ship of Theseus thing that kind of started with like the first result on Google. But the TLDR is that the recipe calls for milk and heavy cream. And I'm lactose intolerant, but I'll still stick it out for cheese. So to kind of mitigate that a little bit, I just use unsweetened, unflavored oat milk. And then for the heavy whipping cream, I mix a little bit of nutritional yeast into that. And that thickens it up.
Yeah, it's really good. I think it's better than mac and cheese with milk.
Yeah, I agree. Because I don't know, like I don't drink milk at all, so now I can taste it when it's in things, and it
I
fucking
still like
grosses
ice
me
cream,
out.
but I don't like milk.
I can taste the cream part of ice cream, and it really, I can't
I still
hang
like
with
ice
it
cream,
anymore.
but I feel you. Prof. Hoyden says, okay, I have to ask, why the tits mouse pad over one that just has a continuous raised area for your wrist to rest on? For the memes, or does the small valley that means it's not an all continuous raised area actually help your wrist more? I probably need to take some anti-RSI steps also, and I'm debating which type of mouse pad to get.
So, it was definitely partially for the meme, but I also have found that over time it's given me the benefit of being able to have my palm on one of the tits and then having the kind of like broad end of my hand kind of settle into the space between both breasts. I know that sounds absolutely preposterous to say out loud, but I do mean it. And then that kind of allows me to have my hand at just a little bit enough of an angle that it's not completely flat.
I will say, just because I know people will comment this, there are some people who say that titty mouse pads are actually bad for your wrist.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
But hasn't given you any trouble yet.
Yeah, the thing is, I don't have my wrist like locked between the tits. Usually it is like the palm of my hand like resting on it. I can't say that I would recommend it above a normal mouse pad for the sake of your social standing.
Colin Jason says, were there any games you were eager to play but couldn't find an English patch for?
Yeah, so Reveal Fantasia was the one which I talk about in the video, but I was particularly stricken by that game, and I was really excited to like try to brute force it without a translation, but it just wasn't happening. And then the other long-term one is Gokinjo Bokentai, which is the really cute RPG for the Super Famicom where you play as like a bunch of grade schoolers going on adventures.
Cute.
Yeah, I like that that game from what little of it I've played and seen.
Oh, is that the one you were playing when you were trying to get better at reading hiragana and katakana?
Yeah.
I remember now. Leaf Blady says, would you be willing to give more in-depth thoughts or feelings on the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon series?
I've actually only played the first one, and I know that a lot of people my age and a little bit younger go really, really hard for Explorers of Time and Darkness.
Yeah, like shedding loud
every
tears.
Single person I've ever spoken to about that game is like, that is the first game that has ever made me cry, and I've never cried harder at any other game. But I didn't get to the part where any of that stuff happened. I played Red on the Game Boy Advance, and I loved it, and I had the strategy guide for that game, and it was like one of the first games I ever beat all the way through, and I adored it. But I haven't really revisited it in full since.
Maybe we should stream it someday.
That'd be fun.
I think it'd be fun. I've never played any of the Mystery Dungeon games, so...
They're cute.
Yeah. Blogbori says, are there any topics... Oh, God. I tripped over my own tongue.
You're good.
Are there any topics you'd like to make essays about that feel too off-brand at the moment to tackle at this point in your channel's growth arc? I mean, considering the video you just put out, I think everything's on the table now.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like that was the case when I was doing like that video on fan sites, the Flatwoods Monster, or even just like anime RPGs is a broader topic.
Yeah.
Like I consider this an anime YouTube channel, mostly because that string of words is really funny to me. But I also don't really think too hard about what I can or can't do with the channel. Like there are videos that I think are maybe a little too niche to do well. The one thing I'll say is that like I would love to cover music in a little bit of a fuller capacity, but nobody really gives a shit about music unless it's like music from a piece of media that they care about. So I have a little back pocket idea for a video later on, maybe this year, maybe next year, that will kind of tackle music in general. Like I have an idea for something that I can use as like a backdoor subject to be like, all right, I have you fuckers here, and I'm going to tell you about this.
Locks the door.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think like the real answer is that I think I'm pretty decent and getting better at figuring out how to brute force certain topics I want to talk about into a format that'll fit the channel better.
I mean, you got to talk about Seinfeld in this recent video. So.
Yeah, I did.
Penny Vath says, did you ever play that super skunky multiplayer game in Magical Star Sign? There's almost no documentation about it online besides the wiki stuff that like 2 people are doing. More justice for preserving multiplayer modes in handheld games that sold poorly.
I haven't played it. I didn't know that it existed.
I didn't know it had a multiplayer.
It totally makes sense though. Like every DS game had a multiplayer mode built into it, even if it was really small. I never played it. I assume that this isn't local multiplayer, so I have to imagine that preservation for it is kind of rough these days. But my one contribution to like weird multiplayer modes is that I played Lost Planet, I think is the game I'm thinking of. It's the game that EX Troopers was the spinoff from, but I played Lost Planet 1 all the way through when I was in high school because I got it for like $2 at GameStop. And I saw that there was a multiplayer mode in it, and I was like, what the fuck? No way. There's no way that that's like a thing that still has a community. Like this game came out like 7 years ago. So I checked and there were like 3 people still playing, and they had like maxed out like all of their like online stats or whatever.
Aww.
So of course I got completely creamed, but there was like, I think the multiplayer mode had done this thing where it was like, okay, clearly there aren't that many people playing, so we're going to need to be okay with there being like teams of 3 instead of teams of 8 so that we can actually funnel these people into matches. So it was like really, really empty and really desolate and lonely in a way that really stands out in my memory.
DS multiplayer liminal space.
Yeah. Oh no, sorry, that was a PS3 game.
Oh, PS3,
yeah,
sorry.
Totally unrelated. But yeah, it was very liminal, as the kids say.
And the kids are saying it. Doozy Uzi says, you mentioned it briefly in your video, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on the Lotus War franchise.
I'm so sorry. I haven't touched it in any capacity, but that Metroidvania game seems really cool.
Gamma Girl says, how do you manage storage with such a huge project? Are you good?
Yeah.
Like with all the different WAV files and footage and then the actual project and editing software, I think my laptop would just break down in tears.
Yeah, that project was like 200 gigabytes when all was said
Whoa.
and done. That was the one that broke me. I had to buy a docking station, and then I bought an SSD and a hard drive. So I think I have like 5 extra. Yeah, I have like 5 extra gigabytes of space now.
Gigabytes or terabytes?
Terabytes. Thank you, my love. Extra terabytes.
5 ain't shit anymore.
I know, yeah.
I remember being young and it was like, a gigabyte? Whoa!
Yeah.
Think of how many JPEGs of Ryoko I can save now. Shoxy the Pinecone says, I noticed you used some Persona 3 music and clips. Have you played it? If so, who were your favorite characters?
Yeah, that's the one Persona game that ever really clicked with me, and I really loved what I played of it. I played B3P because I wanted to play as a girl. Although I do like the male protagonist's design in this game, in that game. I like the girl.
Shocker.
I know, right? But I really liked it. I liked, what's her name? Yukari? I liked her.
I like the robot bitch.
Yeah, I didn't get to meet her really, but I do really like her design. I'd like to play more of it at some point. What I was doing when I was playing it is I was playing a single in-game day per real day.
That's a really long-winded way to play.
Yeah, but it was really nice.
Yeah. That Animal Crossing lifestyle.
Yeah.
Konoe says, I legit gasped with joy when I heard that Digimon World 2003 music around 30 minutes in. Have you ever watched any of the anime series or got into those games?
I'm sorry, I can't stop yawning. Yeah, I watched a bunch of Digimon when I was a kid. There's a picture of me as a child wearing a Pokemon hat and a Digimon t-shirt at the same time.
It's so cute.
But yeah, I loved Digimon as a kid, and then last year while I was editing the Elfen Lied video, I went and watched all of Digimon Tamers, and I made a video about it that I think is still pretty good. But I haven't played Digimon World because Terriermon isn't playable in any of them.
Such bullshit.
There's a really cute Terriermon sprite in Digimon World 3, but it's not playable, so I don't care.
Yeah, I'm a weird one. I've seen all of the OG Digimon Adventure. Yeah. And then I watched all of Tamers, but I watched it while I was animating homework. So I didn't look at it very much, so a lot of my memories of it are kind of fuzzy. And my only real takeaway was, damn, that girl with the puppets storyline was crazy. And damn, I love Terriermon. So yeah. I'm kind of a fake Tamers fan, and I kind of prefer the Adventure Kids.
Yeah,
I love
that's
Terriermon.
Yeah.
Halsey said, seeing Wonder Boy in Monster World led me to trying it on an emulator and realizing it's literally MapleStory RPG before the MapleStory MMO. I don't have a question. I just want to thank you for blowing my mind.
I can't believe I have never made that connection. That's so insightful. I had never made that connection, but it's so obvious.
I was a Mac kid. I couldn't play MapleStory.
I played so much gosh darned MapleStory.
The wickedly talented Adele Dazim said, have you played Legend of Mana HD, and would you use a walkthrough to 100% it?
That's the kind of game that I would definitely play the original instead of the HD version, and I think it's the kind of thing that I'm most interested in if I were to, say, play through all of the Mana games.
Yeah. That's the one that you can play multiplayer, right?
No, I think that's one of the only ones where you can't. Most of the Mana games are 2-player, though.
Gotcha,
Secret of Mana,
I'm
Seiken
thinking of
Densetsu
Secret.
3.
Yeah. Or I might be thinking of Seiken Densetsu 3.
You can do almost all of them multiplayer.
Siegfried Pinzor says, first thing, how dare you violently remind me of the Hugo games, which might have affected my taste in women more than I realized, since the villain is a sexy evil witch. For a question, are there any cozy Western RPGs you know of? I can't think of any Western RPGs that can be described as cozy in general. Well, I got for you a little game called Tales from Toppletown, which you can download on itch for free.
I did some of the music for that game. But yeah, no. The only thing that comes to mind are those like Neverwinter Nights, like Pillars of Eternity kind of games. I don't really know anything about them, but they're those kinds of like long like bookly games. But obviously that kind of fantasy has never really applied much to me. Also, Hugo is wild. That dude's ugly, but that is very much so like an archetypical like sexy Gruntilda level sexy evil witch. It's crazy.
Blue Stocking said, I was wondering if you'd ever checked out the Rune Factory series. They walk this line for me between comfy social simulator and a dense stack of gameplay mechanics and leveling systems that totally ensnare me. A social simulator, if you will. It's a Harvest Moon / Story of Seasons spin-off series, and I really feel like a lot of the games published by Marvelous and Xseed occupy this comfy middle ground for me. Avalon Code and Innocent Life, to name a couple more. So
this one's all you.
I have played Harvest Moon since the first game. I've played all of them. Some of them I haven't like technically completed. I think the one for the Wii I didn't finish.
You're saying Rune Factory.
Yeah, for Rune Factory.
Yeah, you said Harvest Moon at first.
Sorry, I meant Rune Factory.
That's okay. I was just clarifying.
The first Rune Factory is subtitled A Fantasy Harvest Moon.
Yeah.
And then maybe I didn't play the other one for the... There was either a second one for the Wii or the Wii U.
I want to say there were 2 Wii games.
So I think the second Wii game is the only one I have not played. But all the other ones I've played, I played Rune Factory 2 in Japanese first because I was so impatient for its English release that I just imported it.
Yeah.
And then I played it again in English. I beat 1, 2, 3. 4 is probably one of my favorite entries in the series, and then I don't know if 5 has come out in English yet.
I don't think it has.
I'm kind of apprehensive about it because it's a little bit ugly, but
they gave you gay marriage.
I know.
You think it's ugly.
No, I'm still gonna play it. I want to marry the succubus girl. I really love Rune Factory. I especially think 4 is like one of those games that I would highly recommend to anyone who likes Harvest Moon or social simulators or Stardew Valley.
Yeah, it seems really cute. I'm excited to play one with you since I know you're such a big fan, and we somehow haven't this whole time.
I know. I've always been a huge fan of Rune Factory. I love the characters. I love the setting. I love its like sense of humor. I feel like it's a little bit more coy than your typical Bokumono game. I actually have not played Marvelous and Xseed's other games, though. I haven't touched Avalon Code or Innocent Life.
Yeah, River King seems cute, too.
Yeah.
I want to play more Harvest Moon with you on stream. Let's do that again.
Yeah, we got to do that this week.
Yeah.
We got to play more
Especially
because
it'll be relevant to my next video.
Also, Yue is my best waifu from Rune Factory 2. I just need to say.
Which one is she?
She's she like sells stuff. She's got a cute accent in Japanese. Electronic Warbear says, wanted to ask though if you ever played Shining Force 2. My brother swears that it's better than the first.
I believe it. I haven't played it though.
Buoyantology asks, what's your favorite Cave Story OST track? Also your favorite YMO track?
Favorite Cave Story track is Mimiga Town, but the main theme is a close second. And I also really like the credits music.
Yeah.
And then favorite YMO track, I know it's really basic, but if we're just saying core YMO, I really do like Kimi ni Muni Kyun a lot. And then I also... If we're talking other side projects, Thousand Knives is a masterpiece of a song. Sportsmen is a banger. The main theme from Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence is great.
Which I still need to see.
Yeah, I need to see that movie so bad. We should watch it when in March.
Yeah.
With our very special guest.
Scaredy Crow says, I apologize if this is a question you've gotten before or answered a lot, but I'm super curious about the enigmatic boat clip you play in lieu of showing spicy content during your videos. Is this an in-joke thing? A reference to an iconic film I've somehow missed? Even without understanding it, it cracks me up every time it pops up.
I'm so glad to hear that it does make you laugh regardless.
Hazel's gotten a lot of comments on her Aiken video about it too, like, what's up with the boat footage?
So, when School Days was airing, I'm sure we all know what the deal with School Days is.
If you don't, TLDR, it's just an infamously, like, it's a harem anime that has, like, shocking, violent twists to it, basically.
Exactly. So, right before the final episode aired in which that was going to happen, like, none of the horrible, shocking twists had happened up to that point. So you're kind of watching it, and it's this very normal thing, and then it gets to the end of the last episode, and there's a little bit of a cliffhanger. The night before that final episode was set to air, a girl murdered her father with a knife. And so, because of some of the content in that final episode, they barred it from being aired until a few weeks later. And in a mad scramble to air something else in its place, they showed a whole bunch of footage of just, like, nature. Like, I think it was a lot of it was taken from just, like, weird Norwegian stock footage and shit. And so there was a 2chan thread while that episode was not airing, like, in their, like, anime board. And they're like, oh my god, this is crazy, like, I can't believe they cut this. And then, like, while everyone is, like, talking and angry, one guy just timestamps the part where the boat comes in and just says in English, nice boat.
Yeah, just search the phrase nice boat meme and you'll get the full history of it. My recollection is that by coincidence, a boat is also relevant in the last episode.
It's not, I don't think.
Is it not? Because spoilers for School Days, if anyone gives a shit in the year 2022. I think it ends with her beheading her love interest.
Yeah, that's in the apartment.
Ripping the baby out of her rival love interest.
No.
She kills her.
No.
And then it's her on a boat carrying his head with her. Isn't it?
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure.
I watched that episode out of context,
Did
and
you?
I think you're remembering a more violent version of it than exists. Because there's no baby. There's no baby.
No.
One of the girls lies about being pregnant, and
so
she's like, "Okay,
kills her and opens her up.
to see if there's a baby in there." And then she's like, "Ah, of course not. I knew it."
I mean, it's still pretty damn violent.
No, it is definitely, but there's no baby theft.
Okay. Either way, I remember a shot of her standing on a boat holding his head.
I don't think,
and I think that's why people also like apply nice boat to it. We might be getting our history of nice boat. School Days.
Oh god, I'm not used to typing on my MacBook keyboard anymore. Boat.
Yeah, boat
scene?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She's on a boat with him. She says we're finally alone.
Huh. Well, it's a totally different kind of boat, so I didn't make that connection.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the connecting
But
tissue.
that was a meme before that episode would have aired, though.
I think.
I'm positive.
Just read nice boat meme on Know Your Meme.
Yeah.
But yeah, so because of that, the nice boat footage has become synonymous with like, oh, something fucked up would be happening.
Yeah, like
here.
I can't show this. so like the I think part of what makes Nice Boat so funny to me is that like there wasn't really an explanation given, and they didn't rerun a different episode of an anime. So you go in expecting something, and then you just get like the most like bland, like dry Ritz cracker footage as substitute in the world. And I think that is incredibly funny. So using that in lieu of stuff that I can't actually show has become one of my favorite running jokes.
For all the nice boat historians out there who are angry at us for muddling up the details, I'm sorry. It has been like over a decade since that meme was born.
Yeah.
TK says, "Hi folks, was happy to see a passing mention of Threads of Fate, aka Dew Prism, as I rarely see it mentioned. What I wanted to ask about has to do with the fact that the game has 2 fully playable, overlapping but distinct storylines. And I was wondering if you or Alyssa had any favorite games with choices like this.
Evergrace.
Also, do you all ever get hit with choice paralysis making choices like this or other branching choices in a game? Save scumming." Finally, as a fun fact, the game never got a sequel despite a fair amount of popularity, and there are overlapping rumors that Ken Akamatsu of Love Hina fame was working on a manga adaptation for the story or made character design art for a canceled sequel, and he used the art as inspiration for Negima.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. True. I love that. That's so interesting.
Yeah, there's like 50 girls in Negima, I feel like.
Yeah. So I guess, 1 or 2 of them probably wound up. Yeah, that's interesting. I tend not to get choice paralysis when I'm in a game because I know that I'm really only going to want to play through it once unless it's something I really, really love.
Yeah, for me, I'm a visual novel fan, and I usually like doing a 100% completion of it. Not always, but usually my concern is just that my first playthrough is always going to make the biggest impact on me. So do I want to save the best ending for later, or do I want to experience it first?
Yeah.
Because if I experience bad endings first, they might make a bad initial impression on me that perhaps the good ending can't overwrite. But if I experience the good ending first, there's a likelihood I'm not going to want to experience the lesser endings afterwards. So that's the only real conflict about choices I feel in video games, at least where visual novels are concerned. But it does help that visual novels are pretty fast to replay. I did play one that was more of a mix of visual novel and stat builder. And I haven't replayed it even though... No, I loved it. But yeah, I haven't replayed it for 100% because I'm I don't want to fucking build a character again.
Exactly.
I need like just a plot version upon replay.
Yeah, that's why, like, if when we played Love Plus, I hadn't been matched with a girl, I probably would have just called it there. So the idea of having to go through all of that again just to try to shoot for a different girl, let alone a girl at all, probably would have felt like diminishing returns.
The stat builder visual novel I'm talking about is Royal Alchemist, by the way, which you should play if you like visual novels. It's really fun. Thumbs up. Bread for quails? Oh, quails. Jesus. I've read it as qualis. First, what are some of your favorite live-action Japanese movies? Second, have you seen any of the recent kabuki or stage musical anime adaptations?
I haven't seen any, but I would really like to watch some Takarazuka.
Yeah, I want to get Takarazuka pilled.
Yeah, same here.
It's just hard to find footage of it.
Yeah.
The only like live action adaptation of an anime I've seen, and it's not a musical unfortunately, is the Danganronpa 2 stage plays.
Oh yeah.
They're a fun time. The actors are actually incredibly fun, and the stuff
they seem
do
like they're
with
having a lot of fun.
The stages is really entertaining. Oh, that's not true. I watched the Oran live action show, which is I feel like nobody talks about it, but I actually thought it was quite cute.
Yeah.
I felt like it was fun in the same way.
Yeah,
the series is
kind of like a big triumph. Like
they
a big
hired a real actual manlet to play Honey too. Like he is actually canonically the same age, if not maybe older than all his co-actors.
Oh wow!
But he's teeny tiny.
It's like 4 foot something.
Yeah, he's I don't know. He was just really short.
That's cute
and like cute.
That's
so
really
I was like,
cute.
oh my god, wow, manlets
I wonder
are
if
real.
they casted everybody else taller than normal to kind of make that
to offset him.
Yeah. Like if everyone was like over 6 feet.
And got like an elf situation with like forced camera perspective.
Yeah.
It's funny because I remember when that live action came out, people complained about Tamaki's actor not being very pretty and like not having blonde hair or whatever. But he embodies the character's personality so well that like if you like Oran, I really recommend it.
What do you like
Japanese
too many
movies.
live action Japanese movies outside of
That's hard because I don't like live action movies that much in general.
Yeah.
I'm a fucking baby and I need my baby pictures to look at. Let me think. I mean, I know I've seen a handful, mostly horror movies.
Yeah, a lot of the Japanese cinema that I've seen has been like genre cinema in one way or the other. I'll just say house. I know that's a very simple answer.
I'll also say house.
House is the goat.
I'm going to copy your answers. Elias Frosner says, when you're writing the scripts to your videos, how do you approach tangents? I just noticed in this one, more than others, how effortlessly we can meander from the game you're talking about for 5, 10, 15 minutes, and then come back to and slot right into where we were, sometimes with more context, but often with simply different context and information. Like even the asides have arcs and points adjacent to, but different from the main video. It's great shit, and I wanted to know what the writing process of those are like. Pure fascination with a topic that grabbed you as you wrote, wanting to provide fuller pictures, restructuring to make a point flow better, etc.
Someone tweeted at me recently. I didn't recognize the image, but it was just like an image of like an anime character with like a cracked glass mask or whatever. Like their face was cracked like glass.
Oh, I see.
And it was captioned like Hazel when she deletes literally any part of her video scripts. Which is extremely true. I thought that was a very good roast. I really just don't like cutting things because I feel like they are fun and interesting to talk about. It pained me to have to cut the detail out of my Aiken video that Komaeda's dub voice actor played a Densuke.
Yeah, I saw a couple people say it in your comments.
Really? God damn it. Yeah. I just couldn't find a way to fit it in.
Good old Pappenbrook.
Originally, I was trying to use it as a lead-in to talk more about the anime's credits as a whole, but it just felt really padded that way. Mm-hmm. I also had to cut out the fact that my Katawaki was there, which would have been another excuse to talk about the Moe Punk collection.
Oh, yeah.
CD album. Album, fucking boomer. Jesus Christ. Did I ever what?
Did you have anything from the RPG video you had to cut?
I don't think so. I think instead of cutting anything, it was more like playing games that didn't really grab me that I could have written a little bit about. Mm-hmm. When I was structuring that, so there's this interesting interview where Nobuo Uematsu talks about composing One Winged Angel. Mm-hmm. He's like, I had a lot of different riffs that weren't quite connecting in my head. So I wrote them out on like flashcards and sheet music. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of started like on paper moving them around in a row until I found something that I liked and that fit. And I think that I structure scripts very similarly, where I try to always start writing from the intro because I think it makes continuity a little bit easier and cleaner for me. But when I'm outlining, I tend to just start from wherever and start branching out in either direction and copying and pasting entire chunks of notes and reorganizing them.
Yeah.
So for the RPG video, I think it took almost a full day of scripting alone to figure out an order of talking about those that made sense. So it's definitely a process.
Yeah, I know you've struggled with past videos and trying to figure out how to organize your information.
Yeah.
I can't think of one in particular. Maybe like, I don't know, the Elfin Lead video. Like, is it important that I talk about this first?
Oh yeah. The Elfin Lead one is a perfect example. Thank you for reminding me. Mm-hmm. So for that video, I was really caught between talking about the negatives up front or the positives up front, because I knew that if I talked at length about all the different ways it sucked, it was going to turn off the people who still like it, who I think would have felt vindicated by the way it closes. But if I had talked too much about why it was good up front, it would have diminished the emotional impact of me saying that I actually do really love this piece of media in the end.
Yeah, because you would have just been shitting on it for the latter half of the video.
Yeah, exactly.
Gentle Relation said, what's your favorite noise albums or favorite heavy albums in general?
Oh, geez. There's so many. I think rather than specific albums, if you like Screamo, I like Jerome's Dream and The Cabs a lot. If you like more sort of like straightforward forms of metal. I like Dark Throne. I guess that's like black metal specifically. I really like Coulter of the Deepers and all of their related side projects. There's a lot of really good stuff in there. Shit, I feel like there's so many others that I'm totally blanking on now.
I wouldn't know. I listen to baby music for babies.
That's okay. I've just been like, I spent this entire last video scripting process listening to a lot of like more straightforward, like pop-oriented rock music, so I'm not quite in like the heavy music brain space right now. Number Girl is good, but they're like kind of like a very poppy noise rock group, so I know that doesn't quite count. I guarantee I'll think of something like as soon as I'm done recording.
Of
I'll
course.
Kick myself.
Linus Wood and Flynn Lilly said, have you given Mother 3 a shot?
Yeah, so that is the question that they both asked.
Okay.
Separate of one another that I'm combining into one. I've played, I think, like 13 or 14 hours, maybe even like 16 to 20 of Mother 3. And then I watched a playthrough of I watched a playthrough of that game when I was like 11 or 12 or however old I would have been when the fan translation came out. And then maybe I would have been like 13, I don't know. And then I played it for myself years later and I kind of fell off because it's long. And then Alyssa and I watched a playthrough of it a few years ago. So I've seen the story all the way through twice and I've played a good chunk of it myself. I like that game.
Me too.
Spoiler alert, it's good.
It is good. I like it. Who's your favorite Peanuts character? I was named after Linus, but my favorites are Peppermint Patty and Marcy, with Sally as a close third.
Yeah, that was the question that was specifically asked by Linus.
Ah, gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Peppermint Patty and Marcy are equally chaotic, but in completely opposite ways, which makes them a great pair. And Sally is just so infectiously narrow-minded, and I love her.
Yeah, Peppermint Patty and Marcy are the obvious answer.
Yeah.
But I really love those two. In the comics, there's a lot of really sweet stuff about Peppermint Patty and her dad.
Yeah.
That really gets me.
I grew up reading Peanuts comics. I was raised on the specials. I really, really like Toon Tariq's videos about the Peanuts. He's got a lot of him just like going through every Peanut special.
Yeah, Tariq's fucking awesome.
And I already liked the Peanuts, but watching his videos about Peanuts made me like them even more.
Yeah.
Like, I always liked Marcy, but he's made some observations about her, like that in later iterations she gets kind of stereotyped as the smart one, but in her original incarnation,
she's kind of dumb.
She is kind of stupid, but like in this really charming way where like I think you expect her to have some kind of smart insight.
Yeah.
She just doesn't.
Yeah.
And I love that subversion. I just think she's adorable.
Yeah.
Also, as a kid, Snoopy was my first imaginary friend.
Woodstock was mine.
We were meant for each other.
I know.
I really badly wanted a pet dog, but I couldn't have one. So I imagined Snoopy being my dog and like talking to me and going places with me. So I guess Snoopy has to be my other
like
favorite.
I feel like there's a little bit of resentment against Snoopy at this point because he got like mascotted to the point where he kind of overtook the parts of the franchise that a lot of people really like.
Yeah.
But I love that little guy.
I still like him. Stephen Nugent says, what did the anime designation rule out? Do you have any favorite cozy non-anime RPGs?
I actually didn't rule out anything, which is why it got pretty far out there in terms of what I was defining as anime. I honestly specified anime over just like JRPGs in general because I wanted it to have a little bit more in common with the rest of the channel. I also just thought that a video focusing in on anime RPGs in particular would be interesting. Because like I've seen videos where people kind of make their focus like, yeah, this weird like licensed game got brought out over here and they like stripped it of its anime license. And I think that kind of topic is really interesting. So I kind of wanted to lean into that element of it.
Armuda says, how does it feel to know that I, and presumably I alone, was genuinely hyped to hear you talk about Sonic Chronicles? I think it's fascinating that Sonic managed to end up in what felt like a bog-standard license game. Its sheer soullessness makes it about the opposite of cozy to me personally, and I felt both validated and extremely trolled when you pulled the rug out.
Yeah, I played that game as a kid. It's fucking dog shit. I like it a lot.
That game feels hostile.
Yeah, it feels hostile and hollow. It's a very fascinating combination.
That game is like being in a cold doctor's office waiting room.
Yeah. And they have like you know those little like things that they have out for babies where you're supposed to like run a colored block from one side of like this weird loopy thing to the other.
Yeah, but it's covered in slime.
Yeah.
And bad middies.
Yeah.
Codfish Cartographer said, what are some of your favorite bad anime games? Whether you like to laugh at them, such as when watching something like The Room, or because you genuinely enjoy them despite public opinion disagreeing with you.
I would say that, I know it'll sound pretentious, but I'm not really at a point where I like bad things from the perspective of this is bad and so I will laugh at it, but more so like a kind of like impressed feeling of like, wow, I can't believe this thing exists at all. Like I kind of can't help but marvel at the fact that something like this exists, or like you know, kind of finding myself impressed by the fact that it can still be engaging even if it's in a way that it was separate from what the creators intended.
I'm racking my brain.
I feel like a lot of the answers are things that I wouldn't even consider bad anime to begin with.
Yeah.
Like I really wanted to be able to say that Aiken was fun in a trashy way.
It wasn't.
But it was just fucking boring.
Yeah, to me, when I start thinking this is bad, it's usually because it's boring.
Yeah, exactly. And we say that as two people who watched an anime that a lot of people said was boring, but we loved that about it.
Which one?
Super Cub.
Super Cub?
Yeah,
that shit made me want to go out and buy one.
Yeah.
But I will die instantly. Jeez, bad anime or games. To me, the closest to liking a bad anime or game would be something I consider kind of a guilty pleasure, like that I like it despite knowing it's got some glaring issues.
Yeah.
Like,
I would say that for a lot of games, the more issues they have, the more I kind of have that like, yeah, like you're a piece of shit, let's go.
But sometimes it's like in ways that even make me kind of like, maybe we could have done without this. But aside from that, I like it. I can't think of an example now. I'm sure I'll think of like 20
things. Shadow the Hedgehog.
Shadow the Hedgehog is like right on that border of almost like, this is so bad that I want to be the one guy insisting it's good, but also it is just like kind of painful for me to play. I try every time.
The mod that we played was pretty good though.
The mod helped a lot, yeah.
For those wondering, the mod replaced some of the textures with pictures of Jafar from Aladdin.
No, not that. It was a mod to make the game a little easier. Yeah. Like it lowered the number of collectible things you have to get.
The fact that they did that specifically because there's a thing in that game where sometimes enemies won't load in and you need to defeat every single enemy to progress is so fucking funny.
Feels bad. Eltsin says, one thing I was curious about was the realm of smartphone RPGs. Have you ever found an RPG for the phone that you really enjoyed? If not, what items from your invisible handheld RPG checklist do you think these games are missing?
I think the problem is that a lot of them aren't strictly authored experiences. And while I don't think everything needs to be an authored experience, I find that I'm generally not drawn to things that don't have that inherent structure built in.
I don't think I've ever touched a phone RPG.
Phantasium? What's the
Fangasm?
The one that came out recently for iPhone and iPad and MacBook. Fantasian. It's the game by the Lost Odyssey people. That game seems really cool.
Yeah.
I would like to play it at some point.
I've only ever played...
That would have been good to talk about for this video. I'm a hack for not including it.
You are a
gonna
hack,
go back and make
Hazel.
it 2.5 hours long.
There's like
instead
2
of just...
million video games in the world and you haven't played all of them?
I know.
Stupid idiot.
Fucking fake gamer.
That's why I hate women. Just kidding. Don't quote that. Omen Machine said, what do you think about Adam Crack's contribution to the art of whip performance, aka the whip game?
So this is the
Oh, the guy who stands in parks and cracks his whip?
Yeah. I fucking love that guy. So the whole reason I put footage of him in there is because our friend was over one time and she was like, there's this video that I saw when I was like 14 that has sent me into hysterics every single time I've seen it since. And Hazel, I think your sense of humor is demented enough that you would also see what is so inherently funny about this video to me. And so she put it on. And I lost my mind. So I've been putting it in there as like a secret Easter egg, basically specifically for her ever since.
Charming. Also, as a fellow Taco Bell enjoyer, how do you feel about the recent announcement of the Baja Blast Hard Seltzer?
I should specify, the comedy for me isn't that I think what Adam Winrich does is cringe. I literally just think the act of whipping a can of soda and then being so stoked when it's a perfect clean cut that you can still drink out of is so enormously inherently fucking funny and charming to me.
Yeah.
That's what
It's funny to me in the same way that half A press Mario 64 challenges are,
exactly.
where I'm like, this kind of doesn't mean anything, but it does to the right people, you know?
Yeah, like you kind of can't help but marvel at the enthusiasm therein. Baja Blast Hard Seltzer breaks my fucking heart because I'm allergic to alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
So I won't be able to drink it.
I'll drink it without you, and then I'll tell you what it's
so
like.
So jealous.
Samantha Celica says, are you familiar with Genki, and do you have any experience with Jade Cocoon?
Jade Cocoon seems cool. It's a JRPG that was developed by Genki, which are kind of like similar sister skunk companies to like Ukes and Tamsoft.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I can't remember what other games Genki has made offhand, but I like their stuff. Just the sheer gumption of it.
Jay Casillas said, what is your favorite RPG that is on the Switch, or any other RPGs that you would recommend on the Switch? Also, have you heard of DYA Games? They're an indie game studio that makes SNES-inspired games with beautiful sprite art. They have a horror game called Evil Tonight. That's pretty Hazelcore.
I'll have to check it out. That sounds cool. As far as RPGs on the Switch... Fuck.
I
don't play too many games on the Switch.
I play visual novels on the Switch.
Yeah. The predominant... Like, I mostly just played the first-party Nintendo... Oh, you know what I'm going to say? I haven't actually played it, but I'm going to shout out Kowloon High School Chronicle. It's going to be my one. Thor did a video on it, and I think that video is good.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Is Balan Wonderworld an RPG?
No. It's a platformer.
I'm going to say Balan Wonderworld.
Balan Wonderworld's a
Next
platformer.
Question. Next question.
H said, wow, a gamer, and you know about Esteban Child of the Sun. Anyway, my question is, have you ever tried playing Okage? It's one of those games where I love the character designs and the vibe, but I couldn't get far because playing it is just absolutely excruciating. But I was thinking you might be better suited to appreciate the jank of it.
I've played like 3 hours of that game. I own it physically, and I fucking love what I've played. I like that I played that much of the game. I got through like 2 towns worth. Maybe it was even more than 3 hours. I got through like 2 towns and I did like 2 battles. That is an RPG that is extremely disinterested in its own combat, like, or so it seems anyway. But yeah, I really like that game. The vibe is really cute. The translation's really cute. The music's really weird. I like it a lot.
You should finish it.
I should. Yeah, after I finish the 1 million other games I want to play.
Yeah, you fake gamer.
Yeah. I'm still working on finishing Drakengard 3. I gotta get back to that.
Noodle Neophyte said, I think your video kind of expresses how that feeling of coziness is more something that happens on the player's end. And I guess the question I'm trying to ask is whether you think that vibe is something that can be deliberately cultivated by a creator or creators, or if it's more something that just happens sometimes.
I think that when people try to make a game like that, it's not as though they're necessarily trying to deliberately create a cozy feeling per se, so much as they are like a sense of familiarity, if that makes sense. And I think that there's kind of like a cozy feeling that comes from that.
I think a lot of good game developers are not oblivious to the importance of giving players a sense of comfort in certain areas as well.
That kind of breathing room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think the breathing room is important to heightening the more action-oriented sections of a game.
I agree.
Grimm's Child said, while not a JRPG per se, have you tried Steambot Chronicles? It was the first game I thought of seeing the video thumbnail and perfectly matches the vibe conveyed in your video.
I'm so mad I didn't get to play that game because the Japanese title is Bumpy Trot.
Bumpy Trot?
Bumpy Trot.
Why?
I don't know.
Why is it Bumpy Trot?
Steambot Chronicles seems really cool. I read about it in an issue of Tips and Tricks magazine.
Aww.
And I was like, this looks fucking awesome. I wish I had a PS2. Because I was stuck with a limp dick GameCube.
Oh, so sad.
No, the GameCube is great. I love the GameCube.
GameCube is probably my favorite console.
Yeah. PS2's better, but
no.
It's got more games, which means it's better.
No.
I'm kidding.
It's got worse games.
I don't have stakes in this.
It doesn't have Louis.
Yeah, it doesn't have Luigi. It doesn't have Mario and Sons.
It doesn't have Pikmin.
Yeah, it doesn't have Pikmin.
I'm gonna give this a shot. Simone Sevchek said, what is your favorite anime about cooking, and what is your Hazel dish that you make if you want to impress somebody with your super duper cooking skills?
Sweetness and Lightning is one of the only anime about cooking I've seen, and I think that is an incredible and beautiful anime.
It's really sweet.
Alyssa, what do you think is my Hazel dish?
Your macaroni.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I'll either do that or pizza, depending on the person.
Your pizza is amazing.
Pizza really stresses me out. It's like the best
pizza I've ever had, though.
But I am pretty proud of it. That's a good one I think. It's like that is a true blue labor of love, because I would never do that just for myself.
It is. I love your pizza.
I want to make it again sometime soon,
I think. Yeah. Curly Arsoni says, this is my question from the last video that didn't post, but have you heard of the music artist Sasami? I think a few days before you posted your video, she posted a picture of Tenchi Sasami. Anyways, music Sasami owns and her self-titled is in my top 5 albums of all time.
I should check her out. I looked very briefly at her, but I didn't have time to listen to any of the stuff, and her stuff seems cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jonathan Yee says, hi Hazel, what a wonderful video as usual. I want to know, what would an ideal super cozy day look like for you, and what kinds of things do you do to make it happen in real life? Is coziness something that can only be evoked externally, or can it come from within? Can't wait for the mac and cheese ASMR.
I had an extremely cozy day yesterday.
Yeah.
Because my video was done, and I was in the phase for the next video where I'm just watching the anime that I'm going to talk about. I was posted up on the couch under a blanket with my wife and my cat. That's all I need. I feel like mac and cheese ASMR would sound incredibly obscene.
Yeah, that sounds disgusting. Also, I always feel cozy when we light a candle.
Yeah, that is very much so something that helps. A good candle
just like really sets the cozy.
I actually felt pretty cozy when I was working on the last part of the Aiken video as it was on its way going up, because it would be late at night. My little wife would be peacefully asleep in Slumber Town, and I would be illuminated only by my screen and the string lights that we have wrapped around our kitchen so that we can get around it at night. And that was very nice, drinking coffee and watching the sunrise. But I do tend to find that my sense of coziness is a lot more amplified by having you around.
Wow. Gay. Robert Deck said, during the video, are the games and platforms thereupon listed anywhere in full?
So I'm kicking myself for not including it, but I was trying to timestamp them all out so that I could put it in the comments. But the problem with it was certain games I talked about for such a short period of time that it felt weird to categorize them as their own entries, because it would have kind of gotten into the heart of the fact that, like, I feel like it would have made it too obvious that the way that video is structured is really all over the place.
Yeah.
So I couldn't quite find the way to do that. So I don't think there is one necessarily. But I do recommend just being able to kind of scrub through the video, because you will see the game's name listed on screen throughout that entire section that there is gameplay on screen. So it should help a little bit more than having to rewatch the entire video, because I know it's really long.
Ash Dream Thief says, hearing you mention the Game Center CX game made me curious. Have you watched much of Game Center CX or really anything Arena related? Admittedly, I used to just skip to the sections where Arena travels around to small game stores or cafes, etc. to goof around.
I have like 100 gigabytes of Game Center CX on an external drive.
Yeah.
I fucking love that show.
Hazel and I had a couple of visits when we were long distance where we just like sat around and watched Game Center CX for hours.
Yeah. That was how I was first exposed to Tokimeki Memorial. My favorite was the girl who randomly spoke English phrases. But yeah, that's the one where someone is like, well, which of these girls is your favorite, Arino? And he's like,
my wife.
My wife.
They're like, but which one out of these girls would you want to marry? And he goes, I guess my wife.
Yeah, I really love the section where he goes places. There's an episode where he goes to, I think, Indonesia. And,
oh yeah, is that the one where he fights the kid?
Yeah, he joins in on a child's birthday party, and he's like screaming in the child's face after he beat him in like Mario Kart. Yeah. It's one of the most deranged things I've ever seen. I should dig that clip up. That's good. That's good, like, shitpost material.
Yeah. If I had infinite hours, I would just marathon all of Game Center CX.
That seems like the kind of thing that would be fun to have on if you ran like a retro game store.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That would be
just
so
have
fun.
have that on in the background.
Kai V says, would love to know how much experience you have with the Tales series. I know these are probably too sprawling or famous for this video, but it had me wondering if you knew any.
I really love Tales of Fantasia. I played like fucking like 20 hours of the Super Famicom version, and I really enjoyed it. I think I hit a point where the combat started to feel kind of stale, and I was kind of dreading playing more of it from that point forward, but I loved the story and the characters. And I would like to play more of them. It seems like each Tales game is like just specific enough in its own world that like there's a lot of value there in like each and every one. Like it's not just kind of making the same game over and over again.
I've only ever touched Tales of Symphonia, and my lasting impressions of it were the fact that it was 2 discs long scared me off. And the main guy is voiced by Robin from Teen Titans, and that was weird.
He's also the voice of some random guards in the GameCube remake of MGS1. And it's really obvious that it's him. Yeah,
he's just got a really unique quality to his voice. Day by Day says, do you have any trailers or promotional material for any media that hold a special place in your memory? Any trailers that you're really fond of but have never directly experienced the media they were connected to?
Do you have any answers for this?
I feel like Mousepads got some good videos about...
Pat Mac.
I always fucking get their names backwards. Cut that out. I said it right first try. Pat Mac. Pat Mac's got great videos about Nintendo promotional, like, commercials.
Yeah, I agree. I honestly think that, like, a lot of those are very iconic. I went back and Brett linked the reveal trailer for Smash Bros. Melee, like, footage, camera footage of it at E3. And the part where Ridley is on screen and everyone goes mad.
Oh no.
I was just like, oh, Miyamoto on stage must have been like, fuck. God damn it.
Just cold sweat.
Yeah. I tend to know that I'm going to really like a game and then avoid the trailers.
Yeah, I haven't really watched trailers since childhood, but I did get a promotional DVD. I might have talked about this before, from like Toys R Us or something in the mail, that just had like a bunch of trailers for upcoming Nintendo games. And so it had a trailer it had all the funny like Animal Crossing for GameCube commercials with the people in the costumes.
The real life parody.
It had a trailer for Star Fox Adventures, for Mario Sunshine, for what would be the Metroid game? Prime. It had a few other things, and even the games I wasn't interested in. Like, I watched all those trailers over and over because I don't know if it was the novelty of having them on a DVD, the novelty of having like commercials for Nintendo content in such high quality. But I watched them all over and over because I thought they were so cool.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what it was. Just like the trailers from that era made every game look awesome. And even as a kid, I had zero interest in Metroid. I was like, whoa, Samus looks so cool in this trailer. So that was fun. I have a fond memory of that DVD.
There was a CD-ROM that I had that was like a promo for the Fox box.
Oh, yeah.
Block. And I was really enamored with navigating that weird little disc. It felt like an entire universe of advertisements for children.
That's so cute. Excalibur Zero says, do these types of cozy games tend to stick more in your mind than other types of games? If so, why do you think that is?
I tend to find that the things that stick in my mind the most are the games that feel sort of unresolved in my memory, either because they didn't quite do what I wanted them to or because they have a very open-ended ending. I find like a lot of games that are particularly cozy tend to end on a very like emphatically resolved note. Although I guess Klonoa would count on both fronts. Klonoa's got a very like sudden tragic ending. But it's also an extremely cozy game through and through.
I love Klonoa.
Me too.
Nostalgic VHS says, how do you manage to do so much research for little niche subjects? You're always very well spoken, and it's really admirable how you're able to articulate your thoughts so clearly. Also, more content with your wife, please. I'm right here. The viewer questions you do with her are always so fun.
I would really love to have you on another video soon.
I would love to be on another video.
I would love to find an excuse to have you back on.
I would love to.
I really, really liked making the Tenchu video with you.
Yeah, that was super fun.
It was a lot of fun.
Writing with you was a great time.
It was. I think that the number one thing about... It's really hard because I feel like my process just kind of tumbles out from itself in a lot of different directions.
It kind of just seems like you figure out what information you need to fill in the blank for, and then you hunt down that information.
And then I always find like 3 times as much. and then it kind of sprawls outward. So like for doing research for the RPG video, I kind of like knew a lot of this stuff that I was saying and then just needed to confirm it with myself to make sure I wasn't getting stuff confused. But like for videos like the one that I did on Mina Agechao, that one was really lucky because it's such a specific title and was relegated to such a specific part of the internet that I do feel like I basically was able to figure out everything there was in that one.
Yeah.
But then, you know, stuff like Vlad Love, I really wish that video could have been like twice as long so that I could really get into, because I had to rush right through the part about vampire lesbian movies, and I had to rush right through my explanation of Class S, and I think that latter part in particular confused a lot of people. And you know, admittedly, I was working off of like a pretty shallow, not inaccurate, mind you, but a shallow understanding that I could have bolstered a little bit more to make a stronger argument. So,
live and learn.
I'm of the mindset that there's basically always more to research out there, and that it's kind of my duty to just do as much as possible. Like my first step is usually to check Wikipedia sources and see what other information was omitted from those articles, and then fact check those, and then just to search like every variation of thing related to a game or a piece of media, like a manga or an anime or movie, where like what I do most of the time is I'll search the official English name, and then I'll also search like the Romanized version of the Japanese name, and then I'll search the name in Japanese with quotes around everything to make sure it's a little more specialized. And then I tend to also do that with like the studio or the creators or what have you, just to really make sure that I'm covering all of my bases, at least in like a shotgun scattershot approach kind of way.
Claire Guillemot says, after seeing you talk about the whole diorama world thing with Grandia and Trails in the Sky, I wonder, what do you think about the 2D HD thing Square Enix is doing with their recent remakes? Also, big fan, love your vids.
Thank you. I think it's really cool, and I'm excited for when they make a game that I want to play. Because I've played enough Final Fantasy VI to know that game doesn't really click with me. Same goes for the Dragon Quests that are coming out. Same goes for Triangle Strategy and Octopath Traveler. Even Live Alive, like I played that game in high school and I'm not really in a rush to play through it all the way again. So like, it's just kind of a matter of time until they make one of those that's like for me. But I love the format and I love the way it looks a lot. I think it's really beautiful.
Yeah, Octopath Traveler is a pretty game. I know nothing about it. I watched our old roommates play a little bit of it.
If you want more games in that weird style, I suggest the FromSoft game 3D Dot Heroes for the PS3. I think that game's like really expensive now. I think I sold my copy for like a lot more than I got it for. But yeah. I think that's everything. Thank you all so much. I know this one was a little bit shorter than the last one, but I think by nature...
Our last one was long.
The last one was too long.
It was too long.
It was too long. So I think we got a much tighter one out of this.
Yeah. Sorry I was just kind of here, but...
No, your insight is always incredibly useful. You help to keep me on track immensely.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm hungry now.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat.
Why does recording make me so hungry?
I don't know. It does for me too.
Okay, bye everyone.
Bye.